In 2008, the installment, which was later considered to be the last of the original era or the first of the modern era, all depending on the opinion of players at the time, proved to be a pivotal success for Capcom. Those featured in the game later became the casual identifying representations for the franchise, but others were mostly respected by the gaming community more so than Capcom had originally assumed. But the speculative scenario is this: Crimson Viper was the most underrated character from Street Fighter IV. Capcom used the format of attempting to modernize or depict the roster of Street Fighter for the then player community with Street Fighter IV. Due to the gaming opinions of the time, the chronology of the game was in a unique spot and was clearly intentional by Capcom. The game took place after Street Fighter II and before Street Fighter III, so the character choices were among the best possible for a player to experience in relation to a Street Fighter game. When players experienced Crimson Viper in Street Fighter IV, she wasn't immediately acknowledged as a decent character. Her moveset was somewhat more complicated for casual players, and she wasn't preferred to more established characters by serious players. As a result of this paradox by the Street Fighter IV community, Viper was considered a niche character, necessarily appealing to only more curious or challenging players. Playing against the character was usually a test because encountering a Viper player was seldomly experienced, and the skill set for the Crimson Viper player could vary from someone who played casually to someone who played seriously, or anywhere in between these tiers of gaming experience. As a result of the mentioned paradox, Capcom didn't necessarily take the then new character seriously. Consensus from the community of players held Viper as a varied pick, and the experience highly depended on who selected the character. Even in gaming tournaments for Street Fighter IV, picks for Viper were occasional, and the character wasn't necessarily used in a semi-professional or professional way. Crimson Viper was one of the most requested appearances for a character during the era of Street Fighter V, and despite the clear demand and acknowledgement of the gaming community, the character never appeared technically during the era, as it's still debated to whether or not it was intentional or accidental by Capcom to not depict Viper as a playable character in Street Fighter V. By the time of Street Fighter VI's release, it had been a substantial amount of time since, and as such, the character was modernized unnaturally to be one of the most discussed out of any of the characters released during the era of Street Fighter VI. There was a bit of irony as discussions lastly halted after so long that players from the Street Fighter IV era were able to once again play as Crimson Viper in the Street Fighter VI era, but there were naturally further discussions of other neglected characters by Capcom, mostly due to the varying timeline of Street Fighter and greater lore, for which was now canon as a result of the era of Street Fighter VI. But at least in the situation of Crimson Viper, there was finally an adaptation return after literal decades of neglected use.